Welcome, everybody, to episode 68 of UnHacked. Mario, we've got an interesting one today. We talk a lot about cybersecurity. You know, we're here to help business owners navigate the chaos that is involved with cybersecurity. We want people to come out stronger, smarter, and always more secure. And I'm kind of known for saying in my introduction that we protect people from lawsuits. And before I even go there, I'm just going to say today, we're going to talk about a brand new set of lawsuits that, I know about it. This wasn't brand new, but it just kind of hit me in a way that it hasn't before. And I thought we needed to dedicate an episode to this. So I know, and again, we're going to get to introductions, but I know just in prepping for this, you and I both got a little bit steamed.
Yeah.
we're going to talk
and this actually has nothing to do with Russian hackers or any type of
Right.
hackers whatsoever.
Which is why it's not really on the radar or hasn't been yet. So we'll get into it. But first, let's do some introductions. I am Justin Shelley, CEO of Phoenix IT Advisors, and we help businesses use technology to build their wealth, build their business. And then we help them protect that wealth from Russian hackers, aka the world, government fines and penalties, and as we're going to talk about today, the lawsuits that come if we don't do everything exactly right. God, it's a fun world we live in. Mario, tell everybody what you do and who you do it for.
Yeah, Mario Zaki, CEO of Mastech IT, located in sunny New Jersey. Well, not so sunny today, but normally. We are located right outside of Manhattan, been in business for 21 years, and we specialize in keeping small to medium-sized businesses safe and keeping business owners have the ability to sleep better at night, knowing that their company is safe and secure.
Beautiful. Well, Mario, in all that, was it on your radar that you needed to protect your clients from lawsuits regarding their websites? Yes or no?
No.
Okay, Here we are. So, as I introduce the topic, Mario, we're going to talk about ADA compliant websites, if that's even the official term for it. Right up front, I'm going to admit this is not something that I specialize in. It's something that just kind of smacked me over the head today. So we're going to dive in. And before I say anything else, I'm going to be very clear that I am oblivious to the challenges that people face who have disabilities. And I'm grateful for it, but I'm also aware of it. I'm sensitive to it. Even, as far out as I go in my circle, I don't know people who have major disabilities that prevent them from doing things in life. Don't get me wrong. The universe has not been kind to me. I have plenty of challenges, but my body functions normally. And this is a major problem for a lot of people who don't. I am grateful that we have laws that, force businesses to put wheelchair ramps in, for example. If you can't get up steps, it's nice to have these alternatives. I've been on both sides of it where, I have had people temporarily injured, disabled, whatever, and had to use wheelchairs, and it sucks. I've also been, in where I'm remodeling businesses and the inspector comes in and says, hey, you have to put X% of the remodel costs into additional accessibility, which I was very frustrated with. So we're going to get heated. We're going to get passionate. And I just want to be clear right now that we are not talking about the very real problem that people have and accommodations that are made to assist them. 100% I'm all for that. What we're upset about today is the ambiguity, the vagueness, and the horseshit lawsuits that are going on to small business owners who are not doing anything intentionally wrong. Is that fair?
100%. And if I could add, I know what we mentioned, ADA compliant, most people are going to like, what the hell is that? I don't even want to listen to this. But
right.
this affects large businesses, small businesses. Even Justin, I think before we recorded, you said one of the biggest targets, correct me if I was wrong, you said are companies that are making less than $500,000 a year. Was that correct?
The direct quote, and this is from accessible.org. Can small businesses be sued over ADA website compliance? The answer is yes. In fact, most of our clients are small business owners who use who use our services after being sued. Despite big companies getting the headlines, it's small businesses with less than $500,000 in revenue who are sued most frequently. I mean,
Yeah.
listen, I don't want to knock any level of business, but like short of $1 million, you're just struggling. You're barely surviving, right? This
Yeah.
is the biggest target. So
Yeah.
doesn't matter. And we hear that a lot, right? When we're talking about security and other things that people need to spend money on where technology is concerned, is I'm too small. I don't have to worry about that. Not the case here.
Yeah.
Not the case
Yeah.
here. So, all right.
Now, I guess we should explain what ADA compliance means when it comes to websites. Is that correct?
Yes. You got that one? Roll with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, pretty much what it means is every website, and obviously websites are easily accessible for everybody, you know, from a computer, smartphone, even some watches now can browse some, you know, the web. And every website, and this is a federal law, not a
Right.
state. So this is nationwide. There are some laws that says that your website has to be easily viewed or accessible by people with handicaps, like, you know, vision and stuff like that. And if it's not, if it violates anything, you are, you know, open to have lawsuits. Okay. Now, the problem is with this is ADA compliant. There is no clear cut list of what you need to have. It's not like it's saying you need to have, you know, text to speech. It doesn't actually say you have to have this. It doesn't say you have to only be able to use certain colors or your font size needs to be a certain size. Okay? It's very vague, very gray, and that's the problem.
It's a big problem. So there's, we talk a lot about frameworks, or I bring that up quite a bit. Those are black and white. They're clear cut. You do this, and you can check that box. You don't do that, the box goes unchecked and it dings your score. That's what we don't have with ADA compliance. We have the WCAG, which has published some guidelines, right? But that's all they are. They are guidelines. It's kind of a crapshoot depending on what court, what attorneys you have, or you find yourself mixed up with. So yeah, it's frustrating. And on that note, I'm going to tell you exactly where this whole thing came from for me. I told you it kind of caught me out of left field a little bit. And again, I'm not saying I haven't heard of this before, but the gravity of it, I guess, never really hit me. So I'm cruising my favorite online platform, and I read this. I run a small online boutique, and today I received a demand letter claiming that my website isn't compliant with the ADA and WCAG standards. They're threatening to sue unless I either pay a settlement or fix the issues right away. The problem is, I honestly didn't even know this was a requirement. After some frantic Googling, I learned about WCAG levels, accessibility rules like alt text, keyboard navigation, and color contrast, but honestly, it's all overwhelming. I don't have the budget to hire an expensive developer right now. And then the conversation ensues back and forth with, I can't take any or make any claim to the credibility of the comments, but I did read through them. And overwhelmingly, the answer is yes, this is real. Yes, this is a problem. You have to fix it. And the more I dove into this, the more I realized, like, once you get dinged, you're paying money. There's no way out of this. You're paying to fix it. You're probably paying either a settlement or you're going to court and paying a judgment. And you've got lost opportunity. You've got, you should be working on your business, not fighting attorneys and judges and this kind of stuff. So, thoughts, Mario? Is this a real problem? How real of a problem do you think this is?
This is a very real problem, and from an overview, most people are going to say, and I'm going to be one of those people that are like, that's, this is BS or whatever. But I mean, when we sit there and research it more, we're seeing large companies get hit with $1 million settlements. We're seeing small companies paying anywhere between $5,000 to $10,000 to $20,000. in settlements and stuff like that. And the problem is, it seems like it's a money grab. This is an electronic ambulance chasers that are literally doing this stuff. And
Yeah.
because we mentioned before, there is no clear guidelines. A lot of times they may go to court and the case could get dismissed. There's a lot of them that we've seen get dismissed, for several different reasons. But the problem is you still have to hire a lawyer. You still have to do the investigations and stuff like that, do your due diligence. And as we know, lawyers aren't cheap. And do you really want to go into court just representing yourself, and saying, well, this is BS?
Yeah, not when I mean
Because
the settlements, assuming you stay out of court, are tens of thousands of dollars, or can be. 5 to 20, I think, is the average, $5,000 to $20,000 for a settlement out of court, plus your attorney's expenses. And if you go, first of all, attorney expenses. The last time I considered going to court with somebody, my attorney said it's a $20,000 retainer, and that's to get started.
Mhm.
That's just to get started. So we're not cheap for companies making $500,000 or less.
Yeah.
One of the things that's like kind of hard to hear for me is that there's no warning required at all. A disabled user, or often their attorney, can file a lawsuit in federal or state court without giving you a heads up. It's just done.
Yeah.
So,
And on top of that, it's not stopping from anybody else from suing you for the same thing. So you can get hit with the same lawsuit 2, 3, 4, 10 times, if they all hit you at the same time.
right.
So, and, in a lot of cases and a lot of lawsuits, usually if you have a settlement or something happens, most lawyers will put in there like, all right, you can't come back and sue me for this issue again. I am, we're done with this. That is not the case here. And that's what drives me crazy is you could end up being hit by 10 of these at $5,000 a piece minimum. And that's $50,000 right off the bat.
Right.
Because you don't have the guidelines that says this button on your website is not correct. It's not feasible.
Yeah.
Okay, well, what is it supposed to be? Nobody knows.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, like you said, I think you call them digital ambulance chasers. There are just tools that will scan websites and pop up the warnings, the errors. In fact, we played with that a little bit before we got on here.
We did.
Anything you want to share as far as what you learned using this? And let's give a shout out to one in particular that people can use because it's easy to use and it's free. Wave, WAVE.webaim, WEBAIM.org. That's the one I used. I believe that's the one you used.
Yes.
I have no affiliation with this company. I just found them. They were recommended through some of this chatting that I was looking at online. I will link them in the comments. If you're listening to this on your phone or whatever, or wherever you're listening to it, just go to the detailed description and I'll have a link to this. Please go check your own websites. With that, Mario, what did you learn using this tool?
I learned that this tool, you put in any website and it will analyze it and come up with some of the issues that it found. Now, with that said, the two biggest issues that we have seen, the two biggest ones, is the contrast. So, like, the background versus the text on like the button or on the website itself. And the other is the alternate text on a link or web or button. So, for example, if somebody goes to it and wants to hear what that button actually is, like book appointment, book now or something like that, you need to actually call that button saying call now. So when somebody uses their accessibility systems, it will actually read it to them instead of just says button.
There's a button.
So those are the two biggest ones that we've seen. Those are like the two things. And I put in some random websites like Yahoo, Apple, McDonald's, and even those sites came up with some errors. McDonald's surprisingly was actually the best one. with the least amount of errors. But those sites also still had some errors. Now, not at a tremendous amount, and you don't know what there's no threshold. You can't
Right.
say 50% of your website is inaccessible or 1% of your website. You could have one button that somebody mislabeled or didn't give it an alternate text. Does that make it a violation? That's the problem, is we don't know.
I mean, it's still being kind of duked out in court. And, unfortunately, technology usually moves faster than the legal system does. So I
Correct.
believe at some point we will have standards that can be applied universally. Right now, as we've said before, in a lot of cases with technology, it's a wild, wild west. We're figuring it out. We're learning. And unfortunately, we're learning with some very expensive lessons. So you mentioned alt text. So it's a lot of things. You mentioned buttons, also on images. If you have a picture of yourself, on like I do on my homepage, it has to say in the alt text, what is that picture about? And like you said, so that a reader, an application that just describes or reads a website to somebody who can't see it, then, it, like you said, it's a button or it's a picture. And if we don't know what it is, that poses a hardship. No captions on videos. That's another one. Color contrast, you already mentioned. Broken keyboard navigation. I mean, I use keyboard navigation a lot if I'm troubleshooting or working on something and the mouse doesn't function. Not what this is about, but some of this stuff is important, right? Forms not labeled for screen readers. That's one that I hadn't thought about. So, and P.S. Justin behind the scenes frantically checking his website. Like, don't worry. By the time we publish this, I will have it all fixed. But I mean, like you pointed out, there's not a perfect, there's not a set standard. So what I don't want to do though, is I really hate that about our topic in general. We have to scare people to get people to take action, but I never want to leave it there with, hey, you're screwed. Good night. Because that goes against what you try to do, which is to help people sleep better at night. So Mario, let's shift to helping people sleep better at night. What do we recommend for any business who has a website, which is pretty much all of us? What do we do?
So the first thing is definitely to go to that site that you mentioned before that we have it linked, Wave. The other thing is, I don't know the exact number of percentage out there, but I want to throw something around like 80% of websites are WordPress.
Right.
And they do have some plugins with websites that you can do that will give you the ability to work towards making it better. I don't know if I haven't tested it completely. We will before this airs, but we haven't tested it completely to know how great it works. But at the very minimum, too, discuss it with somebody that is either your website person or somebody that is familiar with websites that can easily do this. Now, nothing here is too crazy, like you go to the website, you go to my website, you see a picture of me, just name that picture handsome bald guy, and then you're good.
Listen, we got to keep it honest, Mario. We can't have lies. I think there's legal terms for that too.
You're right. I do have a little bit of hair. That's it. I mean, am I forgetting anything?
No, I mean, I will say, and again, this is what I hate this topic because it's just one more thing we have to do, which is frustrating. But what I do love about it is that it fits very neatly into what we already teach people. Know your weaknesses. Just go out and get the assessment. Get somebody to review it. Find the fixes and create a plan. Prioritize them. Get the critical stuff, the easy stuff first. And by the way, I'm just going to say, document the shit out of all of it. If you do get drug into some sort of a lawsuit or a threat of a lawsuit, having this plan, and we call it a plan of action with milestones or POAM, it's going to help your defense. I'm not going to say it's going to get you off the hook completely, but it's definitely going to be, when you can show a judge like, hey, yes, we did the test on this date, we found this many problems, we started fixing them, and here's the paper trail of all the fixes we've done so far, that's huge. So do something. Bryan, who's not here today, always says, it's not a journey, it's a destination. Find it and just make gradual improvements, but document the hell out of it.
Exactly. Yeah, and yeah, go ahead, Justin.
Well, so there's one other a point that was made on this. I really like this article I read, it's kind of a Q&A on accessible.org. Why do ADA website lawsuits typically settle? And I mean, this is kind of hopeless, but it tells you ADA website cases almost always settle because it is more inexpensive and quicker to settle a claim rather than to defend against it. If you have to try to defend yourself against one of these claims, even if they're these stupid ambulance chasers, it's cheaper to just settle. And we're talking, $5,000 to $20,000. It's not chump change. So we want to hit this now, right? It's way cheaper. While we may not have the budget, like that story I read when we started, don't have the budget to go out and redevelop my site. I bet for less than $5,000, you can make some significant improvements to your website in this area. I mean, really for a few $100, depending on who's doing your website for you. Where I have mine hosted, I can just throw them a list of things and say, hey, go fix that. And I don't have to pay anymore. So hopefully you're on some sort of a system like that. But even if you're paying a developer a few $100, way better than a $5,000 to $20,000 settlement.
Yeah, I mean, you can get a brand new website, for about under $5,000. And we're not telling everybody to go out there and get new websites. Like we mentioned earlier, some of the stuff is easily fixable. But just like what we tell everybody, the first line of defense, the way to defend yourself is knowledge. You have to first know what issues there are. Now that you're educated, you have to work towards fixing it. And unfortunately, with just like everything else in this country, you can't plead ignorance. You can't say, well, I never even heard about this. How do you expect me to be compliant if I never even heard about it? And unfortunately, you can't. It's not their problem.
Yeah. Just what I needed, Mario. Just what I needed on the end of an already busy and stressful week. One more problem. But like I said, it's an issue. The world of business is finding problems and solving them. If we're not comfortable doing that, we probably shouldn't be in business in the first place. It is one more thing, but it is something that we can do. We can work towards. And honestly, this is probably not a popular opinion, but if this is not something that you can or can afford to do or are willing to do, your best bet is to take your website down. Like get your stuff up on Google Business or social media or whatever, and don't run a website. That is an option. It's not a great option, but if you're a small enough business where it's prohibitive to make these changes, just take it offline. Don't have it, because otherwise you're a target. There are literally scanners that somebody can use. An attorney, a dirty attorney, can just sit there and scan websites and pull the errors, and that's it. Piece of cake. Simple money.
We actually read that there's attorneys that literally hire what they call testers that just sit there and they scan websites and run it probably against the same tool to see if it's compliant or not. And now with AI, I'm sure they can do probably thousands of these websites very quickly.
Yeah.
And get a list of people that they need to just send out notices to. It is crazy. This is, out of all the things, what episode are we at? We're on 68. Out of 67 other episodes, I feel like this, even though it's completely 100% true, is the craziest one that we have talked about.
And I won't rat you out completely, but you had way more colorful words than that before we hit record.
Yeah.
Listen, it's frustrating, right? I mean, Jesus Christ, we're just trying to conduct business and sell a service and make money and provide for our families and our employees. And God, the nightmarish administrative tasks that go along with running a business do get frustrating and overwhelming. And I hate that sometimes we have to bring light to things that nobody wants to hear. but I would sure rather somebody hear it here, take some actions, and avoid a lawsuit or downtime, or being forced to take your website offline or whatever else. So, all right, Mario, unless you've got anything else super enlightening or cheerful, since this has kind of been a downer, we'll go ahead and kind of wrap this one up. We'll keep it short today. Any final thoughts?
No, that's it. I mean, this is definitely something that haven't mentioned before, but it is very important because it is not something that you can, that we easily help people all the time, protect this computer, better firewall, backup, and stuff like that. This is something where most MSPs out there don't even offer website services.
Correct.
Like they may not even be able to help you.
Right.
And this is something that is very important. It seems like it's getting worse, and like I mentioned, it is nationwide. This is a federal thing. It's not, even though there are bigger we did see that there's more lawsuits in certain areas like New York, California, Florida. For some reason, those areas are a lot bigger or more. We're seeing more lawsuits in those areas. It still affects everybody. And somebody that resides in South Carolina can be sued by somebody in Washington just because your website is there.
Yeah.
They don't even need to do business with you.
Yeah. It's a crazy world. It's a crazy world. All right. Well, I'm just going to reiterate. Do something. Run the scan. Like right now, today, please run the scan. Jot down a few things that you can fix. Simply take those actions and document it. Just take that one step today. That in itself is not enough, but it's a place to get started. And then you just need to continue iterating through this process pretty much indefinitely, because websites, for the most part, are dynamic. They change, they get updated, and we have to constantly be on our toes. So, yeah, that's what I got. And I have homework to do myself. So
I do have one question actually that
Sure.
I don't know, and I'm assuming the answer is yes. I guess every page on your website counts differently? Does it, like your homepage, have to, say you fix all the images and stuff like that on your homepage? What about, our contact us page? Is that technically different?
I am not speaking as an expert, but just using my best logic, I don't think you're getting away with any pages that are not compliant. I think they all have to be there. Because again, I mean, if you put yourself okay, so we're complaining about stuff that does impact us negatively, but let's for a second put ourselves in a situation where you're visually impaired and you are trying to get information, maybe it's healthcare information for yourself or for somebody else, and you're on a website and you're using these tools and you get to the place where you need the information and it's on 2 or 3 clicks deep, and all of a sudden the information's not there for you. Right? That's going to be wildly frustrating. So I can't imagine that it would only apply to the homepage, but I'm not an expert. And as you've already stated, this isn't fleshed out completely right now. We're still working through a lot of this. To be safe, I'm evaluating every page on my website, and I have a lot of them. So this is not a simple process, but there's work to do.
Yeah, because before when I was doing testing, I just did all the home pages, but then I realized, like, wait,
that's like
that's just the front page.
Well, and we're using a free tool as well. That's where we start, but ultimately, there is some effort and some cost involved to it, and you need to get a paid tool or a paid expert and have them really run through it and find the spots and fix them, and like I said, document it. And then another recommendation was to have a page where people can make suggestions for updates that they would like you to make for ADA compliance. So get to work, guys. Homework assigned. And there's not even really like our ongoing free offer. Of course, go to our website, unhacked.live, and you can get a free assessment from any of us that is cybersecurity related. If you ask me for a free assessment on your website to see if it's ADA compliant, I'm going to be pulling up one of these free tools and saying, here's what I got. But unfortunately, I'm not the expert on this. I'm just bringing awareness today. Mario, you want to weigh in on that one?
No, I couldn't have said it better myself.
Okay.
We're gonna use the exact same things that we mentioned. So
Right.
today's a freebie.
Yeah, and it's a day of awareness. It is not a day of solutions. Just get it fixed, guys. Don't get sued. All right, Mario. That's all I've got. Do you have any final takeaways, sign-offs, sayonaras? How do you want to end today, Mario?
Just like I say all the time, we want to help you sleep better at night. And the first step in being protected is awareness and training. Go out there and check out your website. Check out a friend's website and see. You'll learn a lot. And take the steps. Take the steps. We all want to sleep better at night. And that's it.
All right. Appreciate it. As always, thank you for being here. I am Justin. Remember, listen in, take action, and keep your business unhacked and unsued. See you next week.
Bye, guys.